Hello world, this is Edward Bevilacqua at Las Vegas at WellCare, Novum-U. This is graduation number 2 for WellCare. And this week we have 3 people who were part of Class 1, the historic Class 1 at WellCare here in Las Vegas. And so we're here today to acknowledge their completing the rigorous, arduous program and moving forward to the next step in their life. So what we're going to do is we're going to acknowledge their graduation. We have their certificates here, which I'll hold up in front of the camera for a second so people can see it. And this also includes the fact that this is with TED.com or TED Talks, TED.com, and we have we receive an email every year from the owner of TED, or the president of TED, Chris Anderson, thanking us and acknowledging the work that we do to help people move forward in their lives. We on here it also includes the Coursera class that you take every day, and we have had one of the Coursera instructors actually come to one of our classrooms during the summer, because over the last 5 years we've had so many students take the course. So she came out and talked to him, and John, in fact, was there, right, John? Yeah, Barbara Oakley came into the classroom. And Quizlet, and then this acknowledges your participating in the University of Michigan course that you took. So for the 3 people completing the course today, you will officially be Novum-U apprentice people. And you're also invited to continue to stage 2 in our program, which includes housing, counseling, or continuing the counseling program with WellCare, education, and employment. And I think at least 2 of the 3 people graduating are doing that, right? Right? Okay, 3. That's a Lauren question. So, so that's what we're going to do today, is acknowledge the graduation of 3 people who've completed the course. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what we do here, but then I'm going to talk about how each of these 3 people have made the school better. Because it's not just how we've helped you become better, it's really, for us, this is kind of like to acknowledge to you how you have helped us become a better school. And that's part of our thing, is that every day, every week, every month, we try just to do a little bit better than we did before. Following Nolan Bushnell's what would it be? One of his rules, one of his axioms of we're never as crappy as we are today, is that we try to do that every day just to be a little bit better than we were yesterday. And the 3 people graduating today have helped us do that. So we want to acknowledge it. I want to give you a little history about the school. The school started in California in 1989 as Larson Training Centers. And the founder, Dale Larson, had a simple goal. He wanted to have a school for working adults to be able to buy kids for their tennis shoes for their kids. That's it. Just a school so that kids did not have the ability to have tennis shoes. So he started the school for that purpose in 1989. So this is now, how many years is that? Like 30 years. This is 30 years.
Oh, yeah.
Not 2018 anymore, people. So math isn't one of our subjects, I guess. So that's why he started the school, was to help working adults be able to get jobs so that they could buy shoes for their kids. We opened our first campus here in 2013 in the Downtown Project, which is owned by Tony Hsieh, who's the CEO of Zappos. And kind of an interesting twist of fate, Zappos is the world's largest seller of tennis shoes. And for 2 years, Tony Hsieh provided the classroom that we had downtown, and was has always been, still is very supportive of everything that we do. So that was our roots here. But a little bit unlike California, our students were mainly injured postal workers, TSA workers, unemployed people, and here we have more of a different group. We've kind of gone down the path, not people here, but our other classrooms, and historically, before we were associated with WellCare, it was people who really needed help, really struggling, people who were in jail or in prison or just out of jail or prison, because those are the people who are really struggling. And that's not the WellCare program. The WellCare program is a little bit different than that, but the principles that we do in the curriculum that we have works very well for here too. And so what we do, so that's what we do, is we help struggling adults learn the tools and skills they need to become successful. And for our purposes, success is what?
Money
plus meaning and purpose. So it's not just getting money, it's having meaning and purpose in your life. Because if your goal is just to have money, you might end up with money and find out what?
That you're not happy.
That you're not happy. It's not just about money, it's about meaning and purpose. So that's what we do, and that got the attention of WellCare, and we've had a classroom for WellCare up in northern Nevada. We've had now, this is the third classroom, the third graduation up there, and our second one, well, they've had 3 months of graduations. This is our little bit more than first month graduation. And so that's what we do. We're not a nonprofit, we're a business, like a music school or a swim school. We don't receive any government grants. We don't get any government grants. We don't try to get government grants. And it's kind of like a regular business. If you can't produce a quality product, then you're just not going to be around. And that's what keeps us always having to move forward and provide the best type of curriculum and best education we can. The curriculum here was designed by Nolan Bushnell, who is who? Founder of Atari and Chuck E. Cheese. And so he created this program, and one of his starting points was that there should be no grades, no grades. So if you say to Nolan, if you designed a school system, what would it be? He'd say no grades, no grades. So there's no first grade, second grade, third grade. There's no A, B, C, D, F. You have to learn this amount of stuff. There's depending upon what you want to do. So if you want to be a barber, you need to know this. If you want to be an astronaut, you need to know this. And if it takes you this amount of time to learn it, great. If it takes you this amount, that's okay too. If it takes you that amount, that's okay too, because everybody's brains have a little different speed in the clock in their brain. It takes everybody a little bit more time or less time to learn, and that's what we see in here, right? Everybody, we work at our own pace. Everybody can learn the thing. It's just how much time does it take you to do it? And so that's our principle here. It's at your own pace, and we try to get you to a certain level. And now for the apprentice people, to get you a foundation job, something to start your career, or it's not a career, but to start your work history, start building a resume, start getting back into the work environment. And then in stage 2, which is 13 weeks, then we really work on those skills. So at the end of stage 2, you've now found a career that you want to be in, that you want to spend time in, and then we help you do that. And in stage 2, you also will be taking 8 Coursera classes, mainly from these universities behind me, and getting certificates from those schools for the classes that you take. And that's our program. We're very proud of it. We're starting to open classrooms in additional prisons. So we now have classrooms in 2 prisons in Nevada. On February 4th, we'll be in 3 prisons, 4 classrooms, or 4 classes per day. And then in March, another 2 prisons. And so by the end of the year, our goal is to have classrooms have 50 classrooms by the end of this year and 300 by the end of next year. So, and we would like everybody to participate in that, because we need instructors, we need people, and helpers and drivers and cooks, and we need a lot of stuff that support 300 classrooms. So that's what we do. Okay, now so that's the end of that part of the day. That's the pitch for the school. Now we're going to talk about the people that we have. And so first off is Andrew Myers. So how did Andrew help make Novum-U a better school? Well, I think that's apparent to everybody who's been in here, right? Because when we ask the questions, when I'm up here asking questions, and I don't know, what would you guess? How many questions would you say I ask in a day?
10, 15.
Like 20, 30.
It's actually been counted that it's over 100
Wow.
per class for every 3 hours, a 3-hour program.
All right.
Yeah. Some people have nothing better to do than count how many times I ask questions. Okay. So given that, let's say it's only 50 here. Okay, how many times when either there's silence in the room or somebody's kind of stumbling, how many times in the back of the room does Andrew have his hand up, or does he just help out somebody who's got it on the tip of their tongue but they can't get it out? You know, a lot. Huh?
He's your go-to guy.
He's for the people graduating today, Andrew is the go-to guy, and I try to not always have him answer, because then people get discouraged, like, oh, why should I answer? Andrew already knows. But additionally to that, when I walk around, I go outside, I see Andrew's talking to people. He's been encouraging people. I understand from Lauren that Andrew's also a big supporter back at the annex. You live at the annex, right? Back at the annex of keeping people moving forward with the program. And that's what we need, because it's very easy to get frustrated. You know, as we say, this program is not designed to be easy. This is not a coddling program. Because when you get out there in the real world, employers don't care about your problems. They have their own problems. You might find some that care a little bit, but they care about their problems. And so we try to get you prepared for the real world, but we need people to help us, like Andrew has consistently done for the, 40 weeks you've been here? 4 weeks. It seems like 40. Okay? It seems like 40. That's a compliment. I'm saying it as a compliment. So, Andrew, why don't you please come up here? Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go. You've earned it.
One thing I have to say about the program is it works. It definitely works. So if you can stick with it, stick with it. If you need encouragement, I'll give you guys my email address. I love Lauren. She's the greatest, even though she misspelled my name on the certificate. I know I have some friends and family watching right now, so for them, here, there it is. So I earned this, and it wasn't easy. So, and if it's easy, you're not trying hard enough. So stick with the program, it works, and that's about all I have to pass on right now.
All right.
Thank you.
So, Andrew, how did it feel being up here?
A lot of cortisol.
Welcome to my world. But you make it easier. And the envelope goes to Heather Stimmel. So, I think if there was an award for student conscientiousness of letting me know they were going to be late or not here, it would go to Heather. I have received more heads up from Heather than anybody in combined, probably everybody combined in the last 6 years. And I've been up here for more than 10,000 hours in the last 6 years. But most people don't go out of their way to let me know if they're going to be a little bit late because they have a meeting or whatever. They can't make it because of something. And so the first time I got it was kind of like, Lauren, what am I supposed to do with this? She's telling me she's going to be a little bit late. What do I do? Because nobody does this. This is kind of a new thing. And I didn't say anything like, hey, don't do it, because it's kind of unique for somebody to actually kind of, you can interpret it that they care about me. not just their job is to show up on time. So, so I say the award, if we had an award for that, would be good. I mean it as a compliment, not as a, somebody's letting me know they're going to be late type of thing. Not that it's kind of a compliment for people to do that. But I'm not saying to everyone else, send me an email if you're going to be late. I'm not saying that. But I appreciate Heather doing that. And, from this position up in the front of the classroom, looking back, at people working and what they're doing in class, Heather has been somebody that I have not once had to say, hey, what are you doing on the computer? What are you doing right now? Right? Yeah. So, that's a good thing because it's disruptive when everybody's trying to do something and one person is doing something else. When you're on your computer focused on doing something, you don't know that the sound of the mouse clicking, see, they'll hear that back home. They'll hear that in Michigan. Where are they? Your family? Michigan? Yeah. So in Michigan, they heard those key clicks all the way back to Michigan. It's loud and everybody hears it. And so, it's having people back there and we haven't had any complaints from people who sit next to Heather. She's on time and does her work. And that's what, that's what the expectation is just come in, do your work, do your best, don't cause trouble, be the person that you want somebody to hire. Or if you are hiring people, be the person you'd want to hire. And so that's how Heather has made the school better. Hasn't been a problem, has been consistent, has reached out to me to let me know whether she wasn't going to make it on time. And so Heather, why don't you come up, please? There you go. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this is nerve-wracking. Thank you, John and Lauren and Director and Michael for having me in your class and for coming to WellCare and for teaching us how to be successful. I was really nervous my first day, as I'm sure everybody was. But I came and I continue to come. And the director always says you can't have success if you don't try. So my advice to you guys is to keep trying and to keep coming. And don't be late. All right, that's all I really have to say. Thank you.
Hey, Michael, are you ready? I'm just asking if you're ready. I didn't say come up.
Okay. Trick question.
We have one more person. I want you to get that little nervousness out of your system because Michael is going to do the close like he did last week. Last Friday, Michael came up and he gave another heartfelt sort of overview of what we do at the school and his observations of how the school helps change the lives and how I met Michael from our classroom that was at the Clark County Detention Center one night. He was doing Bible study and happened to be in the lobby because we have to go up together. Sheriff, the police officers take us to the classrooms and stuff. So that's where we started our thing. And so Michael is now our director of communications. And so Michael, are you ready? No,
Yeah.
just kidding. So, I just. Okay, no, we're not ready. We still have Zenobia.
I'm moving over here.
Good, okay.
I'm in the green room.
Yes, good. There we go. That's what we'll call that area. So one of the things that we do, but we haven't done with this class yet, is our memorization. Because, and as I've said, if you learn something, you can't remember it, what's that like?
Not learning anything.
Not knowing it, yeah, not learning it. But if you take that one step further, if you learn something but you can't communicate it, what's that like?
Not learning.
It's the same. It's pretty much the same. And one of the things that we have historically done, and if you go on the internet, on YouTube, and you put in Larson weekly memorization or Larson memorization, you'll see probably 150 videos that we do normally on Fridays, where the students have to come up and do the poems that they memorize. And so we did it with class one day. We should be doing it more. In fact, we'll have to get back to that note to Lauren. Because it's one of the things that helps you get a job also. When you're with an employer and they say, well, what are your hobbies? What are some of the things you like to do? If you say, well, I like to do memorization. I like to memorize stuff. What do you think their response is going to be?
Like what?
Job.
Kind of like cool?
Yeah.
Like cool, like what? Oh, well, poems, prayers, speeches. I like to do that. Kind of keeps my mind sharp. And would you like to hear one? What are they going to say if you say that? Sure. Yeah. And if, so one of the ones we do is Elizabeth Barrett Browning, How Do I Love Thee? Let Me Count the Ways. If you do that, what happens, Lauren? Because you had to memorize that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What happens?
Did you do it for your employer?
Well, what happens when you memorize it and you know it? How do you feel?
Oh, you feel good. I mean,
Yeah.
It's great, because everything else starts coming back too. You start remembering other weird things that you didn't realize you kind of. It's good though.
Okay. So that's one, if you say that to an employer, prospective employer in your interview, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach when feeling out of sight, et cetera, you get the idea. It's like, wow, this person's pretty good and they got me. I feel that. So anyway, what does that have to do with Zenobia, right? That's what you're wondering. Well, when we did the memorization, I said, okay, who'd like to come up and do it? And there's kind of that Joseph look of fear.
It's not fear.
Okay, so that looks like fear, but in other people it is fear. So do you remember that, Andrew?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, did you come up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
I did the red wheelbarrow.
Okay, you did one of the two.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first person up, boom, right up here, no hesitation. I think you even said, I like doing memorization, or I like doing this. Zenobia came up, so she's agreed to do the red wheelbarrow today. It's part of her acceptance speech. Okay, and she did a good job, but it takes a little bit of courage the first time. And I had told everybody that we do these online live for the whole world. So you're going to get to see that very soon. So part of my job, remember, is to give cortisol, right? So,
May I have a spoonful, please?
okay, one spoonful, teaspoon or tablespoon?
Well, 2.
Okay, 2. So Zenobia made the school better by things like that, by being the person to go first, to say things whenever questions are asked. Like Andrew, Zenobia would be one of the people who would volunteer something, and sometimes she came in and she was in pain. Maybe right now, showed up anyway, sat right there, did her job, didn't cause any problems. And that's a big part of making the school better, is just not causing problems, because for everybody, there's just a lot. Stanford has 4 years to turn people into masters of the universe, and we only have 4 weeks. So it's easy for people to kind of take this thing off course. And Zenobia has been very good at keeping us going and having a pleasant spirit, working hard, being the first to do memorization. Now for the first class, the first graduating class, she'll be the first person to come up and do one of the poems. Are you ready? Okay, good. Come on up. Okay, so come a little bit closer. Stand up. Oh, you are standing. Okay. Congratulations, Zenobia.
Thank
You've
you.
earned this, and we look forward to you moving forward with your certificate.
Thank you.
Which do you want to do first?
Doesn't matter.
Memorization or your acceptance?
Let's get the memorization out the way.
All right.
First one.
Action.
Oh. First one is called the purple cow. I never saw a purple cow. I never hoped to see one. But if I see one anyhow, I'd rather see than be one.
Good job.
And the red wheelbarrow, let me see if I can get this one. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens.
Good job.
And okay, well, first I want to thank the director, Lauren and John, for helping me throughout this whole process, and Michael. When I first started this class, I really didn't want to be here. My first day, I went back to the annex and literally had a breakdown. I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm too old for this. I really thought I had reached my peak. Like the director said, most of the time that I came here, I was in a lot of pain, and I deal with pain every day. So I didn't really think there was nowhere else for me to go. But as I continued this class has taught me a lot of life lessons, and it's taught me a lot about myself. It's taught me that I don't have to give up, and I do have more to offer. So I just want to say to you guys, it's hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard, but it's hard for a reason. And just don't give up. You will get something out of this class. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Zenobia.
I thought you was gonna call me next, but I'll wait a couple of weeks.
Okay, good. Well, I hope you'll be here. You got to have that spirit, right? So that's our 3 people. We have 2 more people, the last 2 people for class 1 next week. Or you're not class 1 because you ran off the bus, remember?
About that.
Okay. We have 2 more people next week from class 1, El Martin and Keith. And so you guys just have a little bit further to go. And that will be the historic class 1 in Las Vegas. We plan to continue this for till the ending of time, or until it's not needed. Now, at this point, I'd like to have Michael come up. Michael, as I said, I met Michael at CCDC. He was teaching a Bible study class.
Oh, I messed up.
And he,
Yeah,
that was Michael. So, as I said, I met him at the jail, detention center, and we kind of struck up a friendship, a mutual respect. Michael has jumped in, made a commitment to help us get to 300 classrooms. He's here virtually every day he can be. Always has a good spirit, good attitude. He's outside. He also happened to go to school near where I did. His school's not on the wall, but it was in the Bay Area, not far from where I went to school. And so that's kind of a good thing because we're both Northern California Bay Area guys. So that probably helped get Michael involved and just be able to see the world in the same way. And so Michael's going to close the ceremony by giving a talk about some of the things about, well, we'll find out. Okay, Michael, come on up.
Thank you, Edward. It's a pleasure being here, and it's a privilege being here, and it's an honor being with all you precious souls. Because each one of it, okay, thank you. Yes, okay. See right there.
Yep.
Okay, I've lost my place, but that's okay because it's a one click away. Okay. So I'd just like to start with a little bit of recognition of how it's all working. How does this, happen that Novum-U could be even come into being? So we want to gratefully acknowledge the forward-thinking county and state prison wardens of Nevada, under whose auspices the enlightened vision of Nolan Bushnell has been realized under the strategic guidance of Edward Bevilacqua, with the collaboration of WellCare, to make this actually happen. It's critical that all the players, those are the four pieces, but all those pieces have to play together, and then your participation, of course. So let's start right off with, after that acknowledgement, I have a very discombobulated set of notes. Oh, so the three places that we're focusing on immediately are Casa Grande, Southern Desert, and Florence McClure. I'm not sure exactly where everybody's come from, you all have come from, but those are our three focal points. And when we think about how this all comes and plays together, we possess gifts. All of us have gifts, and there are five, I call five great gifts, and I went over this earlier this week. One of them is life, time to do our lives, and choices to make during our lives. The fourth and fifth, the fourth is kind of between you and God, and I totally recommend having a higher power and finding yourself a sense of humility under the greatness of the sun and the universe. But the fifth great gift, I think, is Novum-U, because it's the program that brings you to yourself in a new beginning, the ending of the old you and the beginning of the new you. So with that, number 4 appears to be 4 pillars. Wow. Okay, so what we have are housing, which is kind of a foundation. Everybody's got to have a place that they can kind of call their own. So our idea is not group homes, but having individual student housing so that you really feel a sense of ownership. The second thing is education. Well, and that is what you're getting here, the Brain Smart type program under Edward's leadership. The third is employment, which is the next step. Once you get it out of here, you're going to want your foundational job to move towards your career. And then finally, as you're doing that, there's going to be counseling. So there's 4 pillars: housing, education, employment, and counseling. And then in a way, it's like, okay, your own mini corporation. A corporation, in order to be a corporation, you have to have at least 4 officers. So you're kind of like more than one person in one person. You put on different suits, so to speak. You're the president, which is the guider, leader, maybe even the best storyteller of the bunch, right? Because he's the leader and he's got the power. And then there's the secretary, who's like a coordinator, the note taker, the date maker, application taker, that sort of thing. And then there's the treasurer. Could be the affirmer. He manages money, he receives money, he writes checks. So all of these things, you're going to, as an independent, career-oriented, successful hero of your own story, you're going to fill each of these roles. And then finally, there's the sergeant at arms. So president, secretary, treasurer, sergeant at arms. Now the sergeant at arms, he opens and closes the meetings. When do the meetings start? When the sun comes up and you get out of bed. Your day begins when your life is returned, your soul comes back to and you realize you're awake. Okay, so you're always on. And it's important to remember that that's how much time you got from the moment you're awake to the moment you're asleep. That's a good amount of time. Okay. Sorry. So now in this corporation, there's going to be opportunities for work. And work also means service, because sometimes we're going to do things that we don't really want to do, or sometimes we're going to actually be doing things that are so wonderful that we can't wait to do them. But in any case, there's going to be service of some kind. And when you think about service and you think about, okay, what's the worst thing that you could possibly have to do? And that would maybe to die on a cross for the rest of the world. Okay, so that's that story. Well, you know what happened just before that happened? Christ washed the disciples' feet, took his clothes off, got on his hands and knees, literally washed the feet of the disciples in a sense of ultimate humility before doing the greatest thing that he could do, which would be to die for the salvation of all mankind. So think about that in terms of like what you've got to do. It's not going to be that tough. It really isn't. You may have to wash up, take a shower, and you may have to go to work, get gas in the car, and get there. But we may have to pick up our crosses daily, so to speak, in the sense of there's going to be drudge work, but it's not going to be like you're going to have to die for your job. So and along with that service, as you're doing that service, I'm encouraging you to do journaling. Write your own newsletter. I came up with an idea of, like, say you have a newsletter, you call it the Uplift, because that's what your life is going to be about. One uplifting thing after the next. Or soaring heart. My heart is soaring. So what you name, the nomenclature that you put on the jobs or the activities that you're going to be doing is going to represent, it's going to give you the thrust. So it's going to give you the beginning of meaning. And then finally, you're going to have identity, a new identity, because of these 4 pillars and because of this mini corp, these 4 pillars of housing, education, employment, and counseling, because of the mini corporation that you are the president, sergeant at arms, treasurer, and secretary of, and because you have a service and a career, a purpose, a meaning, money, purpose, and meaning, you're going to have a new identity. And that identity is going to be constantly unfolding. And it's going to involve tribes. You're going to belong to different tribes, and nudging those tribes and changing the status quo, and especially your status quo. It's going to involve telling your story. It's going to be involving surviving sometimes, like Shackleton survived with his men. He got his men to safety, but we're in safety now. We've got our safe place. Then we've got our Brain Smart program. We're out of our cage. And we're in like a maze, and this is important. Everything you do or don't do matters. When you're in a maze and you make a move, you may be making a move to the right place. When you make a move to that place, it's not the right place. Or when you're making a move or not making a move, and you have to constantly be evaluating the thrust of your general progress. And then, as Jordan Peterson has said, it's a miracle how broken people in this world even are able to work together. You go to the bank, and then one person's got a divorce going, and another person's got a family member who's dying of cancer, and another person's got a brother who's in jail. And all these broken people are coming together and doing these jobs, and it's amazing how it all actually plays together in this universe of human beings. So get yourself together. You are together. Transcend yourself. Become your own hero. Write your own story. Journal it, and always be true to yourself and others. And the rest of it will take care of itself. Yeah. Novum-U.
Okay, well, that was great. Let's give Michael another round of applause. So this is kind of what he thinks about many hours of the day. That's why he was able to put that thing together so quickly and so well organized. Let's see, we have one other person that I think would be interesting to have up here. So Kenya kind of made me think about this. And so we've had a guy that's been in the program since during the summer. And then he came into housing in about September. And then he's here most of the time helping out, getting stuff done. So John, I thought we'd give you the opportunity to come up and tell your story, give your testimony.
Shout out to you.
Thank you, Director. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I do have to say, you know, when I first went into the class and I was in CCDC, and a lot of people talk about it, and then it's like, okay, you get here and you're like, not everybody's gonna make it, you know? So that's where it comes down to just bearing with it. Like the director always says, embrace the suck, like Navy SEAL, you just keep going, keep singing that song. I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna make it. Even when times get tough, it's gonna get rough. Things are not the different things change so fast. Just like you gotta adapt to your environment and just keep going and stay strong. And I do have to say, believe it that you can do it. It's all in your mind. And you know, stay healthy though. Don't just go smoking cigarettes, drinking. You just gotta stay healthy, stay sober. Your mind only works better when it's sober, and it makes a lot bigger difference when you're really, really thinking about your future instead of living for the day. Because I used to live for the day only. Just live for that moment. Now I'm starting to live for my future, understand my family's future. Just like Mr. Michael said, you know, everything you do really matters. What you do affects a lot of people. So, you know, you got to think about it before you do or say anything. And I'm still working on it. I'm still working. I'm not the best, but this program helps me change a lot. And I'm not done learning. I'm not done in the program because, you know, I feel that this for me is meant to be until that time has come when I move to the next level. Because it's all levels in life. It's like playing Mario Brothers. You know, you gotta level up, keep leveling up, keep going past different levels. Everybody play Mario. Everybody play games. So this is like life is like they say in the TED Talks we learn. You know, life's a game, but it's different sorts of games, not just one complete game. You gotta level up and all trying to find balance in life. And it gets to you, but if you keep going, if you keep trying, it's gonna come and you're gonna make it no matter what, and people will really start depending on you. And you know, we all have that pattern that we started years ago that just gotta change your pattern. So now you can start changing the people you hang around with, change the people that you even talk to, you know, because some people can't even talk on your level because you're starting to level up. And there's no reason to go back down unless you really, really feeling like, okay, this is a point of time. I really have time to go down and try to help someone up, because that's what we do in this class. We do help each other. And there's you know, it just can't be selfish. You gotta be selfless, you know, and I did have a problem with that. I was always selfish, didn't care. But thank you to the director, even though we do have our, you know, we be having our matches, you know, but we love each other in another way that other people don't know about, you know, not nothing like that, but okay, thank you.
Okay, so thank you, class number 1, next week, the rest of class number 1, and we look forward to all of the other almost 20 people in here that 3 more weeks from now, this is the end of week number 1. Remember what it was like on day 1 of week 1, right? Kind of scary. And everybody now seems very much cool, calm, and collected. So thank you very much. We're going to have cupcakes. We're going to have cupcakes, and so in just a second.